We're going to put together our best trade offers for Brendan Donovan and Ketel Marte. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Wednesday, December 17th, 2025. You're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the number one sports podcast network. My name is Cijntje Gonzalez, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Colby Patnode. We're two lifelong Mariners fans who've been covering the team for over half a decade. And today we're going to put together our best trade offers for the two players most heavily linked to the Mariners right now, Ketel Marte and Brendan Donovan. Plus, do the Mariners only have room for one more bat? We'll talk about that, as well as Andrew Kzizner, whose deal with Mariners finally became official yesterday. But before we do, I want to shout out our title sponsor today, FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. So since we last talked to you guys on Monday, there have been a few articles that have dropped about the Mariners, all talking about Ketel Marte and Brendan Donovan, but all pretty much reiterating the same information that we kind of already knew, that Donovan talks starting to ramp up now that Jorge Polanco is off the board, and the Mariners are still engaged in talks to some degree with the Diamondbacks on Ketel Marte. How serious is that? Who knows? How serious are the Diamondbacks about trading Marte? Who knows? But apparently the Mariners and the Diamondbacks, they're still keeping in touch with one another on that front. And that is pretty much dominating the whole conversation around the Mariners right now. That's pretty much all that's happening in the world of the M's at the moment. It's Brendan Donovan, it's Ketel Marte. So we're going to talk more about those guys on today's show. And we're going to put together a couple of trade packages for those guys. We're going to try and put together our best package for each one of them. Now, you know, if you remember, in our offseason plan, we actually put together a trade package for Brendan Donovan. That deal, just to refresh you on that one, was Donovan and Raley O'Brien, their right-handed reliever, former Mariner, to the M's for Michael Arroyo, Jurrangelo, Cijntje, and the Mariners comp round B selection in next summer's draft. Now, you know, we typically try to overshoot trades, especially when we do our offseason plan. So it's possible that we gave up a little too much in that deal. And there's obviously the O'Brien factor. Today, we're just going to focus on trading for solely Donovan. What would a package for just him look like? It was reported by Katie Wu of The Athletic that Jurrangelo, Cijntje, and Montes have been thrown around in those talks. Seems like it would be one or the other to headline a package for Donovan. So I assume we're going to start here with either one of those guys, but overall, what would a package for just Donovan look like, Colby?
It's tough to say. Based on my reading of that article, it seems like it's one or the other, not both. I think if it were to be both, the Mariners would get something back, maybe like a Raley O'Brien or somebody like that. But if it's one or the other, it's still a little tough to say because honestly, Laz and Cijntje are probably pretty polarizing in front offices. Laz is a guy who, some people love as like a top 40 prospect, and other people don't think he's a top 100 guy. I think he's, back half of the top 100, back into the top 100 type of prospect. I still have concerns about the hit tool. He's still young, but he consistently runs high strikeout rates, and every time he jumps a level, the strikeout rates kind of go up a little bit. And it's not until he repeats the level for a second time that we notice any improvements. And there are just some red flags there. Cijntje, is, in a similar boat in that he's also a young guy, but he's a pitcher. He had an up and down year in the minors this year, finished the year in Arkansas. When you remove his left-handed numbers, he actually had a pretty decent year. There's still a lot to like there. He's a very good athlete. The two-seamer has a lot of movement. The slider is sharp. He was missing bats, which, was probably a question in his profile. How many bats is he going to miss, or is he just going to be like a heavy ground ball guy? The walks were a little high, and that's kind of the concerning part there. But again, there's a lot of clay there. So I don't know which one the Cardinals would prefer. They seem to really be more interested in pitching. So my hunch is that it would be Cijntje. And I think whichever one it is probably, changes who the second piece is, and the third, maybe not the third piece, but the second piece certainly. So if it's Laz, I think you're looking at something like Laz and Teddy McGraw as kind of the two guys there. If it's Cijntje, it might be something like Cijntje and Corbin Dickerson, maybe something like that. Maybe Ty Pete. But I think it's somewhere in that range. So because most of the reports say that, like, the Cardinals really want pitching, I think for this exercise, I would say they would choose Cijntje, and then I think it's probably Dickerson or Pete, because that's kind of like the next tier of Mariner bats. And then this is where, a major leaguer might come into play here. Do the Cardinals like Ben Williamson? Because of the Mariners acquired Donovan, they don't really need Williamson. And the Cardinals are trying to trade Nolan Arenado. And honestly, Williamson's probably as good as Nolan Arenado right now, which is an insane statement to think about 2 years ago, but it's the truth. Or could they possibly have interest in a Logan Evans type as they try to fill out their rotation for the start of this year? Or maybe it's I don't know, maybe Hancock, or maybe it's like Carlos Vargas as they just look for more bullpen depth. So I think at the end of the day, I'm looking at something like Cijntje, Dickerson, maybe Williamson. Those three guys for Donovan. I think that's in the ballpark. Also, a comp round B pick might come into play if they don't like Dickerson, or they don't like Pete. Like, the Mariners aren't going to give Becker or Stevenson or Bellman or your hair. So I feel like it kind of has to be Pete or Dickerson, but maybe there is somebody that the Cardinals really like that I'm not thinking of, but I think that's in the ballpark.
To me, the starting point is the Randy Arozarena trade, which was for 3 bites at the apple with Randy. Cost Aiden Smith, Brody Hopkins, and Ty Cummings. Smith and Hopkins at the time were, fringe top 100 guys, depending on who you asked. I think the Rays, like those guys maybe more than the consensus, like the pipelines of the world and what have you. But that's kind of my starting point here. Now, it's only 2 bites of the apple with Donovan instead of 3 for Arozarena, but Donovan can play up the middle. He's a better glove. So I think that makes up for some of the difference there. And also just time has gone by. The market is different, all that, right? Mm-hmm. To me, I think it's Cijntje and Dickerson, or Cijntje, the comp round B pick, Teddy McGraw. It really depends on if the Cardinals just like the comp round B pick and whatever they would get there better than, Dickerson or Pete. Now for Marte, this is the really complicated one, because who the hell knows what the Diamondbacks want for Ketel Marte. If
you're not willing to give up a major league starter, then it's almost certainly Sloan. I think it's probably like Sloan, Farmello, Laz, to be frank, if you're not going to give up a starting pitcher. And that's why, I remain very skeptical that the Mariners are actually going to get a deal done, but they kind of refuse to go away in these rumors and these trade talks. So it leads me to believe that there is at least some framework that has enough interest from both the Mariners and the Diamondbacks side that they're willing to talk it out still. But I don't know what that would be. Again, if you're not going to trade for your major league rotation, good luck to you. It's tough to see a deal there where you're not giving up probably 2 of those 4 quote unquote untouchables. Like, I'm not giving up Emerson. Like, he's here for a while. Would I give up Anderson? Sure. I'd rather give up Sloan than Anderson, but it's pretty close. And then Farmello, look, he's still a couple years away. The ceiling is very impressive and all that, but he's already had a major injury. I'm willing to give up Farmello. So I think, again, if you're willing to include Bryce Miller, it's probably Bryce and one of those first 4 guys. If you're not willing to give up Miller, then it's probably 2 of those 4 guys, plus another top 100 or top 100 adjacent prospect. Like, maybe this is where Felnin Celestin comes into play, who, if everything goes right for you, Felnin doesn't have a spot for you because you have Marte and Young and Emerson already, penciled in for the next 5-6 years, and Felon doesn't matter. This also could be, again, the comp round B pick is a very interesting piece in any kind of trade conversation. So, I think that's what it is. So, like, for me, because I don't think the Mariners are willing to trade from their rotation, I'm going to say Farmelo, Sloan, and Feldman, I think, is probably what it would take.
So I had written down here Sloan, Farmelo, Laz, and Teddy McGraw. All this, of course, is dependent on, things checking out on the personal side for the Mariners, where they feel comfortable trading for Ketel. Like, we're just assuming that they're okay with the clubhouse fit and all that, with everything that's been reported. Two other ideas that I had here. Luke Raley, just as a major league piece, especially if the Diamondbacks are to thinking that they can compete after trading a player of Ketel Marte's caliber.
They're in on Bregman all of a sudden, so apparently they think they can.
Yeah.
They just gave Merrill Kelly $40 million, so...
Like, obviously they have Alec Thomas and Jake McCarthy, but those guys have been so up and down. And obviously Raley had a very down year this year as well. Sure. But maybe Raley would be of interest to them. Or Matt Brash, Gabe Spire, Edward Bizardo, one of those guys. Mm-hmm. But to me, if I'm trading one of those guys, then you got to take off like a Las Montes.
Yeah, I think
like one of those guys isn't going to be the fourth piece. They're going to be the third piece on top of two of the top prospects. Switching gears here, striking the balance between going for it after being just 8 outs away from making their first World Series in team history, and also giving some runway to their young players to see if they actually have some internal answers to their roster issues. It's kind of what the Mariners are juggling with right now as they go through this offseason. We're going to talk about if it actually makes sense for them to only add one bat this offseason in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment as live spreads and money lines adjust instantly and player props update as guys heat up. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you so much for making us your first listen for all things Mariners. And also thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Mariners with no interruptions, members only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to lockedonmariners.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. So a debate that was had on Brock and Salk yesterday on 710 Seattle Sports was, should the Mariners go out and get more than one bat? Does it actually make sense for them to go do that when they're trying to balance going for it, but also giving some runway to guys like Cole Emerson, Cole Young, and Ben Williamson? Maybe they have some of the answers to their roster problems right now in their organization. To me, I think the answer is pretty clear. You should go get 2 bats. If you get one, if you only get one, it depends on who it is, but if you only get one, it's not the worst thing in the world. But to me, for a team that just
Marte,
that's kind of where I'm at with it as well. Like, I don't think Brennan Donovan is specifically that guy. But look, this is a team, again, that was 8 outs away from making its first World Series ever. And you're going to follow that up by going, well, Ben Williamson's our third baseman until the 20-year-old eventually gets called up, and hopefully he works out. And Cole Young, who was basically unplayable, like he's our second baseman.
Didn't give him a start for like the last 3 weeks of the season until they clinched everything. Like, yeah. By the way, side note, what has Ben Williamson done at any level for any extended period of time to make us have to save at bats for him? If Ben Williamson's slugging percentage was a weight, he would be an undersized guard in the NFL. Like,
I don't understand why he's being thrown into the same bucket as Young and Emerson.
No,
because Young and Emerson, those are top 100 prospects. I mean, Emerson's one of the best prospects in the game. Cole Young at his peak was like a top 30 prospect in baseball. Ben Williamson never even sniffed, the top 100. Now, obviously those lists don't ultimately matter. They're all subjective, but in general though, like Williamson, I don't think anyone would tell you that Williamson, maybe other than the Mariners, apparently, that Williamson is even close to the same pedigree of prospect as Colt Emerson and Cole Young. So I don't really get why he's being like grouped in with those two guys.
I mean, yeah, it's also like, well, he's a young infielder. It's like, I mean, Young and Emerson, Emerson not even yet. They're 21. Ben Williamson's 25. Like they aren't similar pedigrees. But anyways, like, do the Mariners need one bat or two? Let me read you their projected lineup right now, and you tell me when you start to feel a little uncomfortable. Randy Arozarena, Cal Raleigh, Julio Rodriguez, Josh Naylor, Dominic Canzone, Victor Robles, J.P. Crawford, Ben Williamson, Cole Young, Andrew Kzizner on the bench, Luke Raley, Leo Rivas, Samad Taylor.
Yeah, does that sound like a team that is going to take the next step and break through to the World Series to you? Not to me. No. Like, it really doesn't.
Sounds like an 83-win team that you're hoping everything breaks right, and maybe we get to 85, and maybe we sneak into a wild card spot.
There's a pretty low floor with this roster, and you get to a point now where your margin for error is slim to none, basically.
DH, right field, third base, second base. 4 spots in your lineup that would be up for grabs. Let's say they get Donovan, Young, Williamson, Canzone, Robles, Raley, all competing for those spots.
And they can
Donovan's
all rotate.
Going to win one of them. Yes.
Yeah.
And by the way, Canzone has 2 options left.
And Donovan, straight up, they might treat him as a super utility. He might not be just like, here's third base, here's second base. One day he might play second. The next day he might play third. The next day he might give Randy a blow and play left. He might DH some.
The Seattle Mariners had 4 players last year play 159 games or more.
And that was the point that I was about to make, is like, that allows you to give guys some much needed days off.
Real days off. Like not DH days, like, hey, Randy, I don't know if it was you're just exhausted, you were gassed at the end of last year, but you were terrible at the end of last year. Maybe if I only have you play 140 games in the regular season, maybe you have a little bit more juice in the playoffs, and maybe that's something we can do. Yeah. Or maybe the nagging injuries don't, creep up on you, JP, and you can kind of sustain this good offensive year for an entire 6-month stretch instead of all that. So, like,
and also we've talked about this in regards to the pitchers, and Justin Hollander has specifically talked about this in regards to the pitchers and specifically the relievers. Like, they pitch more than they're typically asked to. They pitched a whole extra month on top of already being asked to pitch a lot during the regular season. But also, a lot of these guys played a lot, and now they're going to play in the WBC, and now they're going to play another long regular season, and hopefully they're going to play another long playoff run and all that. Like, so getting a Donovan, getting another bat allows you to give those guys more off day. Because here's the other thing. Why did those guys play as much as they did? Because Dan Wilson didn't trust to play some of the guys on his bench, frankly.
It's kind of hard to blame him for it too.
Well, no. Again, that's the point, right? Like, You need to get better. So like Dan Wilson actually feels confident in playing some of the other guys on his roster. Mm-hmm. Like Cole Young, like didn't play in September, basically. It's like the Mitch Haniger thing in 2024, where he was just like, he was on the roster, but he didn't play. He was just there. Like he was just wasting a spot on the bench. Like you have 13 position player spots for a reason. Use them. Mm-hmm. And the roster wasn't built in a way where Dan felt confident that he could win games, giving certain guys days off and using some of the other players on his roster. So give him that confidence.
Yep.
And if you add 2 bats, then maybe he feels confident enough to go, you know what? We can survive without Cal in the lineup today. And we're just giving Andrew Kzizner the keys for the day behind the plate. And that's it. Like, we're probably not going to get anything out of Knizner in the lineup, but we got 7 other guys that we do trust that are going to produce enough for us today.
Here's a funny statement. Make Dan Wilson's job easier because he's earned it.
There you go. I like it. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, if you want to hear from me and Colby even more and help support the show, we have a Patreon. It's called Control the Zone. And on there, we talk Mariners, Seahawks, all that good stuff. For more information, go to patreon.com/Control the Zone. Link in the description of this episode. So we could go on and on and on and on about the 1 bat versus 2 bat thing, but kind of wanted to end it there because we want to quickly talk about Andrew Kzizner, who right now is written in at least pencil to be Cal Raleigh's backup in 2026. I already talked about him on a YouTube short that I posted a few days ago. Maybe you've seen it already. I pretty much give you my thoughts. There aren't many thoughts to have about Andrew Kzizner. Like, let's be honest here.
A 26-man move so small, we didn't even do an emergency pod. That should tell you everything you need to know.
We finally answered that question. Can the Mariners make a 26-man roster move not worth doing an emergency pod for? And the answer is absolutely yes.
Keep in mind, we did an emergency pod for Tommy La Stella.
And Trevor Gott.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I think that's more like we've kind of learned from those. Yeah. We've also learned from those 2 episodes that like
those did okay. They were worth our while. But, I would say that Knizner, which is how you pronounce it, by the way, you pronounce the K but not the N. Yeah, it was a whole thing yesterday on 710. They were making fun of it. Pretty funny. But it's Knizner, not Kinsner or
Knizner.
It's Knizner. I would say he's written in pen to be the backup, but that weird pen that has like the eraser on it, you know what I'm talking about?
Sure. Yeah.
Like somehow you can erase the ink. That makes sense. But it's only $1 million.
Yeah. Again, that's what I was going to say is like, I would say that he's written pen if it was for more than $1 million. Like it is a major league deal. And right now it is being reported like he's the backup, but it's only $1 million. And I get it's the Mariners.
Sure,
I get to John Stanton that, $1 million is like $15 million to Steve Cohen, but
sure. The fact that that it's a $1 million contract offer or deal tells you that like, hey, if the Mariners bring in another guy and that guy they determine is better than Knizner, then they're going to look at it as an investment of $1.8 million on their backup catcher versus the 4 or so that they were going to spend on Garver. So Knizner, he crushed at AAA last year, which considering he's like 30 years old, you would hope that he would.
Yeah. Now he has made an actual like tweak.
Sure.
That apparently the Mariners like. Ken Rosenthal talked about this yesterday in his article on The Athletic.
Right. And he was one of the more improved pitch framers, a year or 2 ago. So that's obviously something the Mariners are going to value. And again, for a backup catcher, you really want either want the really good defense or you want some thump. Yeah. And Knizner is almost certainly the defensive side of that.
Yeah.
So,
and real quick on the framing thing, like it's still important. Obviously the ABS challenge system is going to diminish it a little bit, but it's still going to be important because like you only have so many challenges. Right. Guys aren't going to challenge every single borderline call, like stealing pitches and also making sure, borderline strikes are actually called strikes. Like that's still a very important part of a catcher's game.
Right. So just a little bit less important. But Knizner, again, made an adjustment. He raked at AAA last year. Doesn't strike out. Doesn't whiff. Those are two things that he did very well last year in a microscopic sample size. So we'll see. But again, it does leave open the door for the Mariners to bring in maybe a notable minor league free agent. Maybe there's a small trade out there for a catcher who maybe has an option or maybe doesn't. Who knows? And then keep in mind, Cal Raleigh is going to be playing for Team USA in the World Baseball Classic. There are going to be plenty of innings and plenty of at-bats available in the Cactus League for Knizner. And whoever they bring in, they will bring in a third catcher. I don't know if it'll be somebody notable or not, but that is an option. They can battle it out to see who the backup is. If you guys follow me on socials, my favorite option is Tom Murphy. Mostly for the vibes, but also for the power and the crushing of left-handed pitching, even though he can't stay healthy. But maybe this is probably not, but maybe somebody like Reese McGuire ends up, getting to a point where he has to take a minor league deal and try to make a team out of camp or somebody like that. But or again, maybe there's another Blake Hunt out there that the Mariners like, and they can go try and make a small trade for as well. So we'll see what happens, but they're going to add another catcher to their, minor league free agent signings or a small trade, or they're going to, they're going to have one more catcher in camp with them at least. But Knizner for $1 million is fine. Backup catcher. We'll see if the changes he made to his swing, see if they take or if they don't, but he should be more than competent defensively. And he's probably an upgrade over Garber in that regard. And then you just kind of hope that you only need him to play, 45 games on the year. You just kind of hope that that's what you do. And for $1 million, fine. Like, you can't complain about a backup catcher for $1 million. I'm sorry. Believe me, if you could, I would try, but you just can't. There's not that much to be annoyed about here. It's a small move, but we know they needed to make one. Could they, parlay that $2-3 million in potential savings by not re-signing Garber? Maybe, maybe not, but it's fine. Like, it is a fine move, and I expect them to add one more veteran catcher. Again, probably on a minor league deal, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, like, so far they've checked the biggest items off of their to-do list for less money than we expected. Like, they got one of their relievers for league minimum.
Yep.
They got, their backup catcher for basically league minimum, $1 million. They might get one of their big bats for $5.4 million in Donovan.
Maybe.
And again, like, this, the starting point, according to Jerry DiPoto, is about $166 million, because that's where they wound up, at the end of 2025. So, like, they should have more money to. Now, we don't know how much of that needs to be, put aside for the rest of the year for, like, the trade deadline and other moves that they, might make over the course of the regular season. But in general, like, they should have money to, like, actually go spend a little bit on another reliever or go get that other bat that we were talking about or what have you, or both, right?
Yep. Reliever market's moving right now. So,
yeah. By the way, that's crazy. 3 guys today all signed for the same exact contract.
Weaver, Keller, and who was the
Hauser.
other one? Oh, I thought that was yesterday. But yeah.
Was that yesterday? I don't know. I saw that this morning.
Who cares?
But yeah, all 2-year, $22 million deals.
Like Pomerantz, Martin,
Romano signed last night.
Yeah. So, like, the reliever market's picking up here, and the Mariners, we know, are interested. I assume a lot of their focus is on, getting this bat deal done. But one name I'll throw out there, it's just a name I like, who's still available. Tyler Kinley. Be a pretty decent addition to this bullpen, but maybe the Mariners have grander plans, or maybe they're planning on getting a reliever in whatever trades they're working on.
My guess is they're waiting to see if they can get Donovan, because then again, if they check that item off of their to-do list for only $5.4 million, then, like, what else can we do now?
Maybe. Yeah.
So
the higher end relief market is moving pretty quick though right now. So they're kind of running out of time. It's pretty much Fairbanks
Armstrong.
And then you're kind of who?
Armstrong.
I feel like he's in like the tier below that, but sure, whatever.
Yeah.
Like there's still options. I'm just saying like the Suarez, Weaver, that upper echelon market. Kenley Jansen signed the other day. Not that he was going to really be a fit for the Mariners, but like it's starting to move. And the price is right around $10 million if you're thought of as a high leverage reliever.
All right, well, that's going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. For Colby Patnode, I'm Cijntje Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at @LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Cijntje Gonzalez and Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. We're also on Blue Sky. You can follow me at TDG, Colby at MLB Colby, and the show at Locked On Mariners. You can also find us on Instagram at Locked On Mariners. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.